코미디 요래 코미디 미도자 미도자 당제 미도 코미디 미도자 이렇게 하는 게 코미디
Welcome everyone to the question and answer session with Garchen Rinpoche. And we have Ina, our translator, online.
Hello, can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Okay.
So the first question, Ina, could you read the first question we have, please?
What is the best way for students to ensure the long life of their guru? Ni Lama Cultivate Rinpoche bagi chedot ni Lama denso nyamlen tab yakshi kareres karechigores.
다시 나 링도 좋아해.
다시 데레 라서 rinpoche.
야, 나 좋으시라. 야, 보면도 장사 보송 거다래. 네, 라마 같은 데는 라마 직분 말이야. 산지가 땜바를 못 채는데 이러는데 모양 내봐, 마음과는 내봐, 다다 내봐. 대 탐지가 제대 산초가 셈이래. 산초가 세대 저 니나더니 도당 도제바 라마다 로마가 발 랑게 마타 보고 빨리 정대 탐지의 삼지를 대화들 강나 요나 대들이 제일 송사초 첨는 정도래 차빠그 들총총 대소를 잡도 차노래 잡도 제일 산초 셈라고 그래. 그래서 전통전들이 쳐하려고 그래. 쳐도 산초 셈이 주고 그래. 늘 강해지는 누군가 주고 나디 마음나는 송요에 강그 삼당 인지 쳐들래 송 산초 셈그 삼제데 남가다가 잡도다가 사지마도 좋다고 말이 무슨 쳐 잡도 좋다고 있는데 데르티니 산초 셈데 송나 들이 랑나 피마이나 데가 데 철탈토르들이 삼제 주바라 톡데요 주바들이 소디면 너니 게벨론 중도 베자실라 누지 탐제는 시대 당통송 저는 누가들 누가에 시대 당통가래 저게 줄 먹게 왔더니 책도 다서 벌려나 대라 파 컨트롤러가 들이 독라지 이가 전부 차도요 대 지금 주바 공송나 오 대대 다시 끼리 받으는 주바 공들 때 들이 주바를 삼지 다 보자 막는 거요 저들은 누가 같이 땅을 비만 전을 산지 좀 되는데라 랩진케 노바 가체 땅들이 콩 랩지네 동로 콩 상계소 있어. 랩지네 주도고 초도je 봐서. 랩지가 가르쳐야 랩지가 갈 똑똑한 건데 그래서 늘 랩지 작을. 오 상계가 콩 주바고부터 또디상 랩지인소. 또 고아 첨보래. 다 주바고래. 삼제 요는 저 주바면은 삼제 라안도 그래. 그랬지 삼제 요는 참말 못을 줬다고 그래. 주바고 따래 되라. 너나 코조로 삼제 공부했지. 삼제 요는 코조 매너들이 삼제 돌아는 거. 그 고저다 저 탐진은 저 되게 로마는 터들 들이 그런 나무 참만 터들 가로 삼제 요는 때 따대대 그래서 산제 땜만 리베치 로마 개비진 그때 땜베치 그 탐지 되는데 랑양 첸 내내 종대 상마제제 받들이 도드 삼제
And so regarding what we can do for the long life of a Lama, so it's not just about a Lama, but it's about the precious teachings of the Buddha as a whole. So we must also pray that these precious teachings may endure for a long time into the long future, so that they remain now and endure into the future. And it's for this purpose that we engage in practice. So the most important practice to do to accomplish all of this is to cultivate bodhicitta. And that means love between everyone. So, for example, it starts with the love between friends, or between a lama and disciples, or between a mother and her child, and so on. So any connection of love becomes a cause of bodhicitta ultimately. Sorry. It is just like cultivating this connection of love is just like adding a single drop of rain into excuse me, into the ocean. So eventually many single drops of rain become a vast ocean. So we call it just a drop of water, but actually when it accumulates like this, it becomes a vast ocean, and we call it an ocean. So it actually is the same water. So a small drop of love becomes this vast mind of bodhicitta. And then in the fivefold path of Mahamudra prayer, at Vikunkagi prayer, it begins with a reference to the great treasury, the water treasury, the ocean water treasury of love and compassion. Whoever has that. So the mind of love, a mind of love becomes vast and like an ocean or like space. And the extent of that is something only a Buddha can fully realize. So we may not fully grasp space and the ocean itself, but what we can understand is what water is. And it's essentially the same. And if you have this a drop of water of bodhicitta, that will always lead to your own benefit and the happiness of others. And then whether or not you will have bodhicitta, that depends on your practice of patience. In the 37 bodhisattva practices, it says, to those who desire a treasure of virtue, all those to those who desire wealth of virtue, all those who do harm are like a precious treasure. So why a precious treasure? Why are those who harm us a precious treasure? For example, if someone insults you, looks down on you, if you get angry at that person, it becomes like poison, and then you both become enemies. But instead, if you practice patience, patience protects your love and your relation, and then this love only increases. So therefore, if you have patience, in fact, the more someone harms you, the better, because it can all turn into a benefit as you practice patience. Just look at the Buddha himself. The Buddha actually said he attained enlightenment through his nephew, Ajatasattu. And so why did his nephew help him become enlightened? Not because he was so great to him, but actually because he harmed the Buddha as much as possible throughout his life. But the Buddha always responded with patience, so he perfected patience. He never lost his love. So that became bodhicitta, so the Buddha then became enlightened. So this is how this armed door helped him become enlightened. And so in brief, if there is anger, what you need the most is love. What this other person needs the most is love. So this is really the most important thing to understand here. And so this love that has to be developed for everyone surrounding you. So, for example, between students should get along, or you should get along with your family and your friends, all your companions. So this is really the best thing you can do for the Buddha's teachings to remain for a long time and for the long life of a guru. So all of this really depends on your bodhicitta, how much bodhicitta and love you can share with those around you. And if you have that, then you will always have that in this life and in all future lives. It will always be your companion. Bodhicitta will always be your companion until you attain enlightenment. Lasso? So in this world, some people live for even over 100 years, some only for 20 or 30 years, and some even die when they're still in the womb of their mothers. And that is all due to karma, the karma created by afflictive emotions like hatred. But if you possess a great love and compassion, and when ultimate bodhicitta, when true bodhicitta arises within you, then it is even possible that you will not even die a mortal death, but you may even attain the rainbow body before that, without having to die an ordinary death. And so just this small mind, this kind of small moment of love, just this love that we have, this ordinary love can make such a difference. And so the difference really lies between a mind of altruism that wishes to benefit and a mind that wants to harm. That's the real difference. And so one important thing to mention is that so often people speak about the Lamas, the Guru's words, as the Vajra speech. And what comes to mind here is an encounter I had with Drubang Rinpoche, who was truly Vajradhara. When he came here, I asked him for a blessing. And the only thing he said was, "May all beings benefit," nothing else. But those words have stayed with me, and they come to my mind again and again. And if I only hold on to that thought, that one thought, may I benefit all beings, that is the greatest instruction. You don't need any other instructions, no other mantra or deity. In fact, Drubang Rinpoche also said the Mani, a Chinvesic mantra, is the Buddha. The Mani is the Buddha. So I keep just that one thought in mind, and that's it. So that is this Vajra speech, the precious word of the Guru, with this one key that you keep in mind. So it is this pith. So on the outer level, the outer Vajra speech, on the outer level, he would say, cultivate love and compassion, practice the Mani. On the inner level, then what you realize is the inner kind of Vajra speech is that to understand that there is no birth and no death, no self and no other. That's the inner Vajra speech. Don't hold on to self and other. There is no birth, no death. Your mind is like space. And if you understand that, then actually you will see birth and death. They become just like a dream. Then there is no more fear. Our greatest fear is the suffering of this cycle of birth, aging, sickness, and death. And so so this is the most important and really the most important thing that we need to understand. Lasso? Lasso? Next go. Sorry. Next question. Rinpoche, who are you and who am I? Ini Rinpoche, kerang suyin, ini ngarang suyin.
Jab ji jikti isn wogo tamchu gongwanan chukwadan songre. Jimdre kechik samran so yiji. Chu sem kechik bagade. Tondam ngade do de yomari. Kare sanga tenjo dore. Po ningje ji ne jine zi songre. Mo ningje ji ne jibdi numa yin songre. Sem gra so de. Samchiran gang samchira so de sangje songre. De nga takwarche sepji samningje de jegdo. 다들 지네들 지금 아 지네들 이사래 대부분 아들 토비야 요 말이 저거 톱당 가는 거 같대 이거
So Chicken Sumgun said in the Konchog that the karma cause and effect is the natural manifestation of the momentary thought. So means that there's no solid thing that you're not some solid thing like a person, an entity, but you are whatever you think in the moment, and that changes. So as whatever you think, you become that. So for this reason, we can say that any male with compassion really is Chenrezig, and any female with compassion really is Tara. So it is said that the Buddha is a manifestation of compassion. So therefore, if you have compassion, if you feel that I actually always have some love and compassion for others, so that means I really am essentially Chenrezig. And there's no other Chenrezig that you can find anywhere. If you have found it elsewhere, then please tell me where.
The Chutabje Kosongaram Jison, Chuka Namka Tower, the Chinese, Namka Tower, chap the already, save the chicken more, chap the already. Longer Jatong Tower, the Chinese tree, the South Chinese tree, the Kitchen, Chinese, and you know your age, same kind of melon. Chuka Chapa Tower, they take Leka Christian, the people that they will Leka don't go your age. Chuka Chapa Tower, so Mark jumped over the storm. Nga ke bje chu chang ro song de ni ye de zong le de nang kha ya chong zhe ba cha ba da ba de le de me sha ge zhen man dong jing ge go de sam jing ji zhi ma ta de so po ne ji ne de mo ne ji lu ma ge ta ba xie ge yo le de jo de yo le ji ne de da wo ge ta ba chen ge de o ji ne de na pa chap de yo le ji ta ba chen do o le 랑 고소리 지내도 너무 때려데 청삼로 가르쳐도 하고 그러지 내 게임이 나와 가르쳐 지내도 하고 요래지 sebjing 이제 일락간디 남도 간저 사람이 하고 요 거기 되더라
It is said that all phenomena have the nature of the three kayas, and the Dharmakaya is like space, and Chenrezig, it is his Dharmakaya, his mind pervades everywhere, just like space pervades everywhere. And then the Sambhogakaya form appears in space just like a rainbow. Whoever thinks of Chenrezig will appear before them because he's always there. And that is because your mind is like a mirror. Whatever you think of, the mind becomes that, and that appears to you, just like an image in the mirror. And then the Nirmanakaya is like the rain falling from the clouds, always and working for the benefit of others. And so, I take when I give the refuge vow, I always show this image of Chenrezig, this kind of round image of Chenrezig, because it is a perfect image that shows how he pervades all of space. So those three kayas are like space, and then the clouds or the rainbow, and then the rain falling down. And that is why also when I give the refuge vow, I always ask students to recite the Mani mantra and to think of Chenrezig. Because the moment you think of Chenrezig or you think of Tara, you become that, the mind becomes that. And that is why I myself always think of Chenrezig, just like this, like in this image, filling the entire space. And I always have this awareness thinking that he is always there with me. He always knows what I'm doing. He knows what I'm thinking, the good and the bad. So all the Buddhas always know our virtuous and non-virtuous thoughts. Whatever thought arises in the minds of sentient beings, that the Buddhas know that. So, next question.
Yeah.
In Vajrayana Buddhism, there are so many practice techniques. Is it okay to do a Amitabha practice and pray to be born in Dewachen? Tini sanga toche tekpala, tini trupta pe mangbo yoris, nyamlan pe mangbo yoris, tini upa me chikpo nyamlan chena, tini deva chen kiba menlam, chikpo tabna jigirive.
상하 시바데 냠도 도제 특과 연구를 상하 대가리 심지 당체 상제 임바티 스티가 하고 요말 르모 저거 랑동 로아르 저 서티지 아니네 로요리 저런 것들이 대들 상하데 대를 생고 내로도 동아 오 센난파다 이면나 이스베베 남시 이실은 메네 나지 님도 선 디디가 하고 손을 오 드니 센난파다 차래 제심도 하고 그래 상하데 대상손에 하마고들 상하데 대라 라망 보여데 십지 장망 추지 홍보 제세제동 레레레 제세제동 요래 저드나 주봉 제세제동 자상적 설명들이 삼제는 그래 고아 로아 저를 강은 되거든 나지는 그래 저는 나한테 파욕 인적 문제 지리를 제세제도 동대 라 가레티 제발 얼마를 로그 사야만 보는 사제 동설만 보여 작아서야 얼마리 오라 강랑 가워요 때를 거는 세상 라텔 저걸 로그 저거 거서부랑 하서 그래 때라 오 저거 드라마다 망보요는 난 샘지에 홍 저기 홍을 만들어요 말이 톡대 참아 죽어래 그것을 롱거도 저거 이제 저거래 대하고서는 라카레를 갈아대고는 동담 세계대로대 동담랑 남시 실미네 오 이부도 생원대로 도서만 들이 나시라고 고할지 참아사래 하고 두면 레레레레게 들어 야야 얼마래 자오 동하면 야야를 자오 동하 들어 야들 야대들 자오 참아 야야를 또 같이 낭동반이 하고는 돈이 더 강치 돈이 시대 바요 이성을 락 세븐내로 돈들이 혼대지 돈다 하고 그래 제일 맹아 사자 좀 맹아하지 밤이 지금은 늦게 요리 라 저거 늦게 요리 나 저거 늦게 요리 돈 십지 삼지 상들 들이 밤이 지내서 삼지 과차가 요리 라 저거 뒤지는 내가만 보여를 때 되어 요리 라데 라지라고 셈들 라고 셈들 남시 실면에 라고 셈들 라이바 하고 또 그래 라더랑이 가까이 온 말에
So regarding the Vajrayana or the secret mantra, it is called secret. Vajrayana is called also secret because sentient beings do not understand, do not know that their true nature, that they are actually Buddhas. So it is hidden from them. And not knowing that, they wander in the six realms of samsara, constantly taking birth, driven by the six afflictive emotions, just like ice blocks floating in water. However, then if you do realize your true nature, that the mind is like space, that there's no duality within space, then the dualistic consciousness ripens into primordial wisdom. When that happens, you understand non-duality. You know that self and other are not separate, are not different. So this Sang in Sangye in Buddha means to wake up from this clear way, this unknowingness of what you really are. And so the 84,000 teachings of the Buddha were taught for that purpose. And the 84,000 teachings, again, have subdivisions. Each has another 84,000 teachings. But in brief, all of these myriad teachings have their root in bodhicitta. And what is the one root of samsara, the six realms of samsara? It's that thought of me, this I. That is what we need to let go of. Let go of that and just think of Chenrezig. So this is why I mentioned practice Chenrezig. And actually, it doesn't really matter which deity you practice. There are hundreds and thousands of different deities, you can practice whichever one you connect with the most, and understand that their nature is one and the same. They all have those three kayas of Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, and Nirmanakaya. They all are the manifestations of these kayas. And that is why we also say the Om Ahung syllables are the essence of all the different Buddhas and deities, their enlightened body, speech, and mind. The enlightened mind is the Dharmakaya, all of the deities. And then the enlightened speech and form appear as the various Sambhogakaya and Nirmanakaya. So ultimately, what must be accomplished is that your dualistic consciousness matures into primordial wisdom. And that means that you realize that there is no duality. It is said that understand that appearance and existence is the deity, the divine form of the deity. And so now that being said, it's not that you can kind of take count them all separately, that there's a deity, that's a deity. Everything is just divine by nature. It's just like when you have like many clay pots, and they're all different vessels, but then when they break open, then the inside, the emptiness inside, all essentially becomes the same. And so it is also said that what we call emptiness is actually mindful awareness. And with mindful awareness, you recognize that the mind is like space and there's no duality in space. And that is really the essential instruction of Mahamudra. And so now regarding the deity practice, just one deity, one mantra like Amitabha or so is fine. Most important is that whatever deity you practice is to think of all sentient beings. In that wish, they are all the same. So it's good to focus on a single deity. That makes it easier for your practice, that's less complicated. And through this practice, your dualistic consciousness must mature into primordial wisdom. And when that happens, then you will recognize that actually you yourself, your own mind, is the deity. You are actually not separate from the deity. So? Okay, next question. Can one only attain enlightenment by practicing Vajrayana Buddhism? Tani sangye ki kopang top kona tini sanga doji tekwan yamlen chikpola tene sangye topi do is tap shemba yo marwe sangye la. That's all?
탑 주풍지 저기 독대 사제 탑 망보요래 상하시바라 탑 망가와 메바데 탑나만 나서 요래데 그 가리에 제는 요래는 셈진라 이 지구람등 타섬 요래 데레티네들이 소상하섬 남거를 봐 소소요 이제 탑지 사제 저거 더 하나래 대회네들이 라라는 것들이 내로티라는 게 지구라는 게 대타선 뒤대라티네 들이라는 게 냠들리는 거고 요래티 탑이 요래 탑만 가면 봐대서 람댕 타섬데 가래지네 좋아하더래 삼지 챔프링 총섬을 턱대 요래지 나 지금 삼등마들 지금 총을 하고 요래 나지니가 때 삼들한테 지금 랭을 남래 나지니가 이 코나서 랑춘 마사마들 그래서 지금 라브세 때에 대스면 라브레레레 요래 난디 제종을 남걸 봐 차소래 카시르 다랑상들 때문에 대상들보다 라셔자 안 걸다 다치거든 차공을 개영을 배 sab지 짜는 메리 sab지 다다다 속다는도 랑수 파수 다지 대서 왕자 서로 다 잡으는 툭툭자자 저기 마초제 지고도 달리데 대삼지 sab지 짜는 메리 대삼지 양자를 거둬 대게 속 상원 좋고 요래 다 고도니 때는 돈조리 더블 고도 담지 잡을 때를 내 가려면 참지 돈조리 좋아해 너는 고도랑랑 동기요리다 인만 동기요리 정타랑랑 동기요리 상기시와도 고탑거리 차롬때 셔 장토를 탐거리 상진 차롬때 파상을 차롬때 장토를 탐거리 동대리 대 차롬때 쇼거를 갈고 따지마 거를 두고 그래 조체 오고 그래 대 고성들이 탑진다 대리를 강을 조체 제가 탑 사업체 제가 탑조는 때탑 띵고 그래
So there are 84,000 different methods, different Dharma teachings, and all of these 84,000 Dharma teachings are taught for the sake of enlightenment, so to bring sentient beings to enlightenment. So they all are a way to attain enlightenment, but the Vajrayana is said to be a path that is rich in methods that require the least difficulty. And so there are different levels of teachings that are given depending on the mental capacity of the recipient. So that is why we speak about 3 levels of individuals, those with higher, middling, and lower capacity. Corresponding to that, there are 3 different paths, the Pratimoksha, Bodhisattva, and the Vajrayana path. All of these different paths, however, lead to enlightenment. They're all taught for the sake of enlightenment. And one should practice according to one's own ability, wherever one's mental spectrum falls into, higher, middling, or lower. So why do we have higher, middling, and lower mental capacities? It's because of, it depends on the kind of level of love, the amount of love that we have. So some have a vast mind of love. They think about others, and they are of the highest capacity. And some, they think a little bit about others, and they are of middling capacity. And some think only about themselves and not really about others, and they are of the lower mental capacity. So that is what determines one's mental capacity, one's ability, capacity to think about others. And so some, for example, are so caught up in themselves and lack love for others entirely that they even commit suicide, which is like an ice block breaking apart, falling apart. There's no more warmth, no more love left. So they commit suicide. For example, there are stories of people going to schools and killing people, then killing themselves. Or in the world, there's some who have a little bit of power, and with that, they start wars and destroy everything around them. As a result of that, however, they are really creating the causes for falling again into the lower realms. So right now, it may give them some power, but really they are harming themselves. And in fact, this sort of existence is even worse than being an animal, because they're really intentionally harming others. And even though that's how it may seem, they're really, in the end, ultimately, they're harming themselves. So what one concept we need to understand is what enlightenment actually really means. It's really simple. It is melting the ice block. You need to melt the ice block and have it dissolve into the ocean. How do you melt an ice block? You need warmth, some heat. You need some source of heat, like the sun, for example. So if you know that, you know, I have an ice block, I need to melt the ice block. Then what will you do? You will find whatever you can find, anything that's warm that will melt that ice block. So you can apply whatever method works for you to melt that ice block. Also? Okay, next question. How do we maintain our bodhicitta when the world is full of hate, conflict, and injustice? Chigden de la ini shedang tene mangchok tene tangden me ba da nyokta mambo yo ba di nang la tene ngaran zu changcho sem khandes ki tum khandes dong thop gri.
Oh, jiti shedang we.
Da so ma cha re chigden shedang tene re.
Oh, di tata de zamber lengthen 강의 송화다 답지 레좀들의 송화 고고래 네 강의잖아 콜초 디다를 조노 송나 동다의 강의 송들 조노 송화다 너게 종신다 너게 용신 이가디 레게 제가 맨날 연구요 말이 뭔지 좀 되는데 잘 조직 가르더니 삭제 소원들이 양마진다 용네 사장 감자 세송하래 이 뒤가로 사지 좀 되지 사자 얘는 저래 사지 좀 되지 홍보 중을 때서 원용들이 고지다 사지 좀 되지 내 가래를 해야지 오네 샤장갑자게 그만 야시보다 종료래시 야시보다 종디디 탁과 잡는 말이 샤답을 들으더니 야시보다지 그 야시보 샤마답는 총장만 타박 따져리 데리고 로봇 오는데도 데리고 타나면서 콩국을 총총저이래시 콩들 개모게 열두 콩들이 살짝 돈으로 콩을 세로 그래시 레테도 사요래시 오다테로 레 싹와버 조아버 그다 내가 파트 요래 좀들이 지지 거래지 제지 승무게 레 좀들이 시키잖아 추사미 가다야 좀 보다서 레 좀들이 지지 거래지 좀들이 됐다 동해서 용 먹거나 그래서 레 뭐지 파트 그치 뭐요래시 아주 산속들이 속자고 그래지. 썩을 산속들이 속자면 몇 개가 용고요 말이랑 소소 탈바디 소탈 같은 거 싸면 땅도 요리 라는 걸 레좀 되셨듯 좀
And so in this world, so there's all this conflict in the world, and so here we need to understand karma. And so what do we need to understand here? It is that the one who creates suffering and the one who receives suffering, who experiences suffering, they have a connection, a karmic connection. If there wouldn't be a karmic connection between those two sides, this conflict could not occur. For example, there was a story of the Buddha, from a previous life of the Buddha, and a previous, actually when the Buddha was alive, and then that went into a previous life. So when he was alive, there was a war where an army invaded, where 500 Shakyas, so from the Shakya clan, were killed. And during that time, the Buddha felt a slight headache. And his students then asked him, some people asked him, so what karma caused this headache, or this whole conflict, this war? And so then he explained that in a previous lifetime, long ago, there was a giant fish, and a group of fishermen, 500 fishermen, they caught that giant fish, and they would cut a little bit of flesh from it each and every day and eat it, but without actually killing the fish. So this whole time the fish stayed alive, and experienced intense torment from just being cut little by little. And so as the fishermen were cutting the flesh little by little from the fish, the Buddha, that in this lifetime was a little boy observing, and not really partaking of it, but observing and seeing that the way the fish was flapping every time they would cut the flesh, it made him laugh. And so because of laughing about it, now he had this headache, and those who were actually cutting the flesh and eating it were the ones being killed in that war. And so the Buddha said that the one who creates suffering and the one who experiences it have a karmic connection. So it's important to develop trust in karma cause and effect. Also, Jigten Sumgön had said, if you do not truly trust in karma cause and effect, then lofty talk about profound Dharma teachings is just a lie, nothing but a lie. So what's important for us to keep in mind is to understand and trust in karma, and then not to create more negative karma. That's important. Instead, what we should create is a mind of bodhicitta. That's what we have to make an effort in. If you make an effort in just this, then you will not experience any more suffering. You will liberate yourself. So therefore, be very careful so as to observe karma very carefully. So?
네, 답주 임바지 요리구만. 네, 공부를 접더니 야와 대주서 뭐지? 콘 리바시고지. 공부를 접 출리들이 리바답지 매. 이 공부를 그 송네. 다 거기를 속쪽을 참아 장찰성데 옛날 그 셔도 싸면 땅나 짜자만은 짜는 뭐 속차들 거기 소다베 디스 버스에서 지레상도 당콩 주소 짜자만을 거도 콩게다 들고 게다 그래서 광성을 들고 짜자만 스타를 들고 와 성소 때를 로지는 요래 거도 로지를 따가워래 때를 내 맞이 받으면 해 받아 내 맞을 때니 제가 용말해지
Here's another story because people like to hear stories. So that is when Nagarjuna was alive. There was a king, and so there was an enemy that plotted to kill him, and Nagarjuna, and he said that I can't be killed because I have purified. Or the king said, I have purified the karma of killing. And however, there was one small cause left. And so that is long ago, while cutting a grass, like a gusha grass, then he had unknowingly killed a tiny insect that was in the grass. So that small karmic trace still remained. And so because of that, if a blade of gusha grass would be used against him, that in this way he could be harmed because there's still this small karmic trace of harming this little insect in the grass. And so when karma is created, there will be a corresponding result. It is said that if you do not create the karma, then no harm. You cannot encounter any kind of harm. So, I have had memory limitation since childhood. Is it possible that my memory limitation is the result of my past life? How can these be corrected in this life? Deni nga pugo kaplam pugo ne sungde deni nga tempa shempodok tempa ya pomendok deni tempa shempodi deni tse nguma ki lemdre jives deni tanda tik tela kare chigores tik kare chutup togore danda. Naso?
오, 장터 타서는
Oh, did Thousandfold Rinpoche?
시베트는 지금 마시 말로에
Really?
오예. 네 장마라는데 삼형제 종들이 다다 지복치 모르는데 이 뭐라 강거리 되나 그런 잡이양 소화된 거리 나쁘고 청지지 아마 아이 되게 가거든 Lama Mapa Jambarian sort of Dani, like Shrap Party to all the city on the Tashi show, they don't any Jabayang Divan, so something Gurti or the Semi Gong or something Gilly Shap Chen or Sam which are on the Jona. Sengungu lady.
So yes, it is karma from past life, and the fault is a small kind of mind of love, a mind that possesses not much love and compassion, and lacks love and compassion due to ignorance. So what can we do about it? What is the antidote? You can practice Manjushri, pray to Manjushri. When I was young, since it was my grandmother told me there was this prayer that Rinpoche just recited to Manjushri, this Manjushri prayer and the mantra. So she said, just recite this Manjushri prayer and the mantra. And so mainly, however, what you do need is to generate love and compassion, boundless love and compassion. And you develop this, then your wisdom, your awareness will naturally grow. But anyways, this experience is due to past life karma. So, and then what is more important, being an outer, inner, or secret Buddhist? Tini chi nang sang sum gin nang ban nang ne tini rang rang so system la jingju ka chi shi kararis. Asa?
Dere, sem de Sing, so the Tanan Gaware. Nancy Lakor Kowarki, Sangha Jerem Pato, Sahara Tongle, the soul solitary, the 60 Roger, Port of the Kini, the most of the Jitiruma, to Rosso Chatamsi, the Kabu Tripatavare, Sama Sanjiri, Gare, the same de Sing, would say the Sama Sanjiri, Sang, Peter Tanan Jangantry. 성우들이 자예가 남지 라서 또 신지 양진 제가 그 도다 운에서 생각한 거예요. 참아 사지래 참아라래서 상하게 좋아 하고 또 그래. 대도 다난 장거래. 다난지 좋거래.
So your mind possesses Buddha nature. What you need is a pure view to realize that. Is that realize that appearance and existence is the form of the deity, that this is the perfect generation stage of the secret mantra. It is said that Buddha nature pervades all beings, and therefore see everyone as the deity, like as Tara and Chenrezig, also animals and all beings, see them as Nirmanakayas, as Buddhas. They're really Buddhas. And why are they Buddhas? Because all beings possess Buddha nature. So cultivate such a pure view, and a pure view is a mind that sees the outer universe as this divine palace, the mandala of the deity, and all inner sentient beings as the deity. And this is also explained in the Yamantaka practice. And it really is all a manifestation of the mind of Buddha nature. So understand that and realize everyone is a Buddha, everyone is a deity. When you understand that, you will truly understand Vajrayana or any Vajrayana sadhana practice. So you need to develop a pure view. Also, then, what is the best way to practice Dharma for healing illnesses? Da kona das sovachi kona das da kona chunyamen hab yakshi kariris. Also?
Oi, 내가 좋아지와 내가 담보 내가 남진시 거래 내가 남진시는 가래 오 대공한 걸 내기 와서 자리 뒤제버리스 덱동 나서린 자 초조부분이 자 세바 속을 차섬니 차섬디들이 용요리 네 대가 대과 딱 요리시 다당이 성도 대요 장고 나왔다죠 다다가 나타 청청게 스마 바들 적배배 얘기를 되게 들이 배트 주는 것도 해 용거리 대미도를 다다 폐그 요리시 내들 접종을해서 내들 개를 끝마다 내들이라게 저 남바 잠도도 소한테 티가테 내가 까들레스 리사로 땅들이 대야가 요래 동네들 대화를 저는 대게나 들이 찍기를 들이 나타티 뭐다네 들이 라게 세드 탈도를 세드 레기 발로 도도 요래 세드 조성의 성동의 연구만 대고 공대는 약고 요래
So to heal sickness, first of all, you need to understand the nature of sickness. So sickness arises due to karma created in past lives, and there are different causes, kinds of sickness, and they are in a way all karmic creditors that come to collect their karmic debt. And so, for example, when someone or something cuts short your life or harms your body, something cuts short your life and you have many illnesses, it is the karmic creditor, the retribution of having murdered others in a previous life. Or when you find yourself in poverty, that is the karmic retribution or the karmic creditor, the karmic debt created from stealing the wealth of others. Or if you hurt others and abuse others in many ways, and you experience frequent illnesses and so forth. So it is also said that a single headache can purify the negative karma of the lower realms for many lifetimes. So say you would have the karma that to be born in the lower realms. If you have that karma and you now purify it through a headache or through a sickness, then that's actually a good thing. That's better than going into the lower realms. So see it in a positive light. And also sickness and suffering can become an encouragement to practice the Dharma, to practice virtue. So it's better to think that through this sickness, I'm purifying my suffering. That is really a way to transform your suffering into happiness. And also you may lose your fear of suffering altogether. And when you lose your fear of suffering, then your mind has already become free and you will not have to experience the suffering of the lower realms. So this is the best way to meditate or to practice with sickness. That's all.
Oh, 그래도 저와 같이 주의들이냐니 주 서인들 가르쳤지도 내 때를 못해라 전 서인중에 파트가 파트가 뒤에 사용을 나랑 다다 상황을 라공도 상하라 나도 얼마니 나 맹게들 나 대인데 대상은 맹게 라도 이제 뒤가나 저보다 로도 사월 저저 매사 요거래 다 정아 간도 삼로 단 거래 들어가면 다 샘리 나 삼도 때린다 없어 진짜 나그래 요물 딱 제다만 우리 세부대로 또 너들이 나그래도 요물 세상에 좀 이제 나미 봐라 나연도 봐 남이 봐라 나도 봐대 그 카와나게 밤들이 다 속도 차고 요 레그라서 그때를 정도 만나서 맹거래 그래서 니보가 그래 찐이들이 소만 비명도 때 기쳐버려 오래 같이 모여래 되는 좀 되게 직삼을 속이 있어 그때서 그때 심나서 그리 참아가 또 삼제리 단지기 인포 삼제리 삼바 재미있는 단지 매가 차대요래
So coming back to the most important question that was asked today, that was the question, who are you? So if you ask me, who are you? Then I ask you, who are you? And so then when I ask you, who are you? Actually, there's no one to ask. There's no one there. There's no one to ask. So now from a Vajrayana perspective, we visualize the deity. And through that, we realize that there is no actual me. And that whatever you think of, that's what you are. For example, now in this life, you identify with this body, you have a name. So you identify with this name, that's me. I'm this person with this name, this body. But then one day this body will be buried underground or burned by fire. Then who are you? Then you may think, well, I'm really the mind. The mind is me. But if you investigate that, then again, you won't find anything there either in your mind. And so the Buddha has said that beings falsely believe in an I that doesn't exist. They believe in a me that doesn't exist. They accumulate these fixations, this grasping like snowflakes accumulating. And so, as we have said before, karma, cause and effect, is the natural manifestations of one's momentary thought. Because of our thoughts, the myriad thoughts in our mind, we create myriad karma and we experience various forms of happiness and suffering. And that is all because we cling to this me, this my, or this my name or something, who I am. So what can we do about it? What's the antidote? Practice Chinrezig and recite the Mani mantra. That's really most important. So as we mentioned before, Jigten Sumgön had said, karma is the natural manifestation of one's inner thought. So the mind creates it all. So let's remember these words. And the main thing that you need, what matters the most, is a mind of love, and that is a mind of boundless love, loving kindness, immeasurable love. When you develop immeasurable love, then self-grasping will go away. So?
다디 데 철공 삼제 파도요 대하고 그래 그래들이 상속sep지바데 첩상지 저상 삼제 첩라 파다디 파도요래 다디 철로 삼제 파도요래 대담화 제시래.
And thank you to everyone following on the live stream and everyone gathered here. Ashiteleg, long life, thank you all. And may bodhicitta arise. Cultivate bodhicitta. Actually, bodhicitta means Changchup stem in Tibetan, and Chang means to purify. So what we purify is self-grasping. Chup means to accomplish or master. And what we accomplish or develop is love, altruism. So when you develop altruism, then self-grasping goes away. So this is really what you need to understand. If one grows, the other one fades. One comes, the other one goes. So if you cultivate love, loving kindness, then self-grasping disappears. If you develop self-grasping, then loving kindness disappears. This really is the greatest instruction.
Sanjo semjo rinpoche maji makono jijeje jeba nyamba nepa yao kone konde pewa yo. Sangha long la danger. Go to Chile one more thing, sure, Johan.
So Rinpoche Garden shi Butsi Rinpo.
Well, everyone, this concludes our very successful week of long life practices and profound teachings. And we thank you all for participating. We had 128 people gather together here. And we had from 14 different countries. And online, it increased to 25 countries. We had over 17,800 views for all of the videos that were live streamed. And for the mantra accumulation of the Long Dharani Ushnisha Vijaya mantra, we had 20,833. And so thank you everyone for your participation. We could not have done it without our incredibly precious lamas that came to lead us in all of these practices. And so first we want to thank our most beloved Guru, His Eminence Garchen Rinpoche, for his immeasurable compassion and perfect wisdom and continuing to guide and bless us. Thank you, Rinpoche. And we want to thank our honored guests for coming, Konchog, Khenchen Konchog Gyaltsen for his presiding as the Vajra Master during the Long Life event, and also for his profound teachings. We want to thank Drupal Rinchen Dorje for his participation, and Sherab Pasang Rinpoche and Tashi Siring Lama. Thank you to Dorzen Dundrup and Kempo Molam. And thank you to Lopan Tupten Nima and Kempo Tenzin and Abu Lama. And thank you to Konchog Pasang Lama and Jongchup Lama. Thank you to Lama Bunima. Thank you to Ani Sampton. Thank you to Ani Dagme for your chopening. And we also want to thank Ina for her really great translation. And thank you to Shansi for all of your excellent, beautiful photographs. Thank you so much. And thank you to Darcy for doing the English I'm saying. Thank you to Michael for doing all the live stream and making these teachings available to so many more who cannot be here. And of course, I want to thank our office staff, Elizabeth and Mary, for working so hard to put together this whole event and keep it running smoothly. And thank you to everyone in the kitchen, Carrie and Alex, for making delicious food for us all week. And thank you to our hardworking volunteers. So all together, we have so much to rejoice in, and we thank you all for your service and practice. Tachi delay. So now Garchen Rinpoche will leave the temple, and then if the rest of the lamas could please stay, because all the students would like to make the offerings. Thank you.